Welcome to the Naked Lens podcast. I'm Viviana Taroni, and today we're going to be talking about how I find my concepts out of social media and how I bring all of my sets to life. So, kind of getting into it, last episode I went over slumps and how to get out of it, and those kind of tie into the same way that I find my inspo. So, I had mentioned movies, TV shows, music, and nature, but I never really went in depth of how I'm drawing from these places and creating art. So I'm going to just kind of dig into that, and we're going to start with movies. Movies are a great way to find inspiration without it being like overbearing and racking your brain, because it kind of just comes and you'll just see different like shots and lighting, and you'll just end up like really enjoying it and liking it and then grasping that and harnessing it and then putting it into a photo shoot. So for an example, I watched Aquamarine the other day. I don't know if you know what Aquamarine is. If you're a man listening to this, you probably don't know what Aquamarine is. But to me, Aquamarine is like my rock. Like she just does it for me. I love her. I love the movie. I love the setting. And it's just like one of those like old 2000 movies that you can just watch over and over and over again. So within watching the movie, there's obviously different like scenes and clips that are like, they just stick with you and draw to you. So when you're watching a movie and you see a different scene or a different clip and you're like, wow, this is a really good, I wish I basically had a still of this. So that's how I honestly draw from movies, is like if I'm watching it and I see something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I wish I personally had a still print for this, like for this scene. So kind of just harnessing and bringing that film to a still life image, and like for inspo and sending it to models and stuff, literally just take a screenshot of the movie, or even like personally, like I'll record clips and scenes from the movie. This way, like my models have a mindset of like, okay, this is the character I'm playing, this is what I'm doing, this is how I can bring it to life, and then we do it, which I'll explain how I actually end up bringing it to life in just a minute. As for like music and lyrics and stuff, you really just have to like think about the type of mood that it's giving you, and really just like maybe take it line from line. So for example, let's just do a big hitter right now, Sabrina Carpenter. We love her, we all love her, you can't even not like her. Like she's just so cutesy and fun and amazing. If you take one of her songs and you break it down bit by bit by bit, you'll have obviously a sentence, or, you know, well, yeah, we'll just say sentence. Well, you'll have a sentence, and you can basically take that, draw like a little map. Oh my gosh, you probably did this in like elementary school when you were trying to learn new words. But basically, you can just draw a line from the word and just write your feeling or how it makes you feel or a concept that comes in mind. So let's say, for example, in one of her songs, let's just do espresso because everybody knows espresso. You would take the word espresso, draw what you see, how you envision it, how you can put it into like a script or a photo or a still life, and then just keep drawing lines and concepts from there, and then you'll get like an entire list of things that you can think of and ways to bring it to life. I don't really know if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense, because in my head I can see it, but I really do hope I explained that well. But basically, you'll have a chain of words, and all of those words will give you feelings and emotions, and then you can all tie that together, and then you'll get a concept or an idea to bring that to life. Let's say you don't want to do that extreme of stuff. Perfectly fine. Just think of the way how you feel during the song, and then bring that feeling to life as well. That actually goes into my next one, which is everyday life. So as a person who loves like cinematography and just those type of images that like have feelings, I find that it's like really cool to just recreate real life scenes and then like styling them to like offer like a little bit of a twist. There's a lot of times where couples come to me and they're like, I want it to be like our movie, but they also don't have the mindset of like how am I going to create this? What feeling do I want? Do you know exactly what movie you want it to feel like? Maybe you want it to feel like The Notebook. Maybe you want it to feel like, you know, any other movie that you've seen that's like a romance or a rom-com. So really just like taking that down, narrowing it to them, and maybe just asking them those questions too to help you have a visual understanding of what movie you want it to feel like and how you're going to create those images. A way that you can like draw from this is just like going to a park and just like people watching. My favorite thing that I did in New York was just sitting in Central Park and people watching them walk over the bridge. I feel like that sounds so creepy to say, but like genuinely watching people fall in love, watching people take pictures, watching people run, watching them play, watching their dogs just like have the time of their life is just such an amazing way to spark like a cinematic shoot that you just can bring to life. Whether you even bring your camera and you just take pictures of people, be careful. But honestly, like if you go and you just take pictures of people and maybe you take a picture of somebody and then you draw that inspo and then you go to the next person and you say, hey, I really want to create the emotions and feelings that I felt while watching these people, you know, have a picnic in the park or play or dance or, you know, whatever they were doing in the pictures. Another one for me is art galleries. As you can see, I'm an artist. I'm not saying I'm the best artist, but I like art. I enjoy art. I like staring at art. I'm a very deep thinker and overthinker. So honestly, staring at a painting for 20 minutes is normal for me. But it might not be normal for you. So you don't have to do it that extreme. But going to a museum and just finding like 5 paintings, let's just say, and understanding the depth and the feeling behind them, and don't forget to like actually read what the artist wants you to like know about the painting, because I feel like you can actually read that last. Read the painting description last. Allow your brain to explore what you're looking at. Film your own ideas, maybe even write them down, or maybe even just like sketch a little bit and then go and read the artist's description or painting. This way you know exactly actually what they were trying to persuade in their painting. I find this actually like really helpful, to me at least. Whenever I'm traveling, I always go to an art museum or an art store or even a bookstore, and I'll just go and read. I'm not the biggest reader, I will say. I am more of a poem girl. But if you just pick up a book, flip to a random page, and maybe just read like a section or an insert, or maybe even just a sentence, maybe it can spark something creative in your head, and, you know, you'll be able to draw inspiration from it and create a whole shoot. Okay. So that honestly kind of ties into my next one, which is traveling. I know I feel like such a brat saying that, because I'm like, oh, like, you know, I travel, but honestly, like, I've worked really hard in order to travel, so sharing my traveling experiences with you guys is not to be like, well, not everybody can travel or not everybody can afford to travel. There's a lot of ways to budget, honestly, and if you want to know like how I travel and how I budget to do so, you can always message me and DM me. That was off topic, but just saying how I feel so you don't think I'm like spoiled. But traveling is a big part of ways that I personally like find inspiration and draw inspiration from. When I went to Europe and was hopping around, it was like, oh my gosh, I wish I was doing a shoot here, I wish I was doing a shoot there. And like, yes, you have like these tourist attractions, like, you know, you have the Eiffel Tower, and, you know, in Milan you have like all the buildings and stuff, but finding the little side streets that you can take pictures on, or again, it's just an entirely different feeling of like what people are wearing, how they look, what they're doing. This is just ways that you can just tie into your life and your photography, like feelings. A lot of people always try and like recreate the atmosphere and the vibes of being in Europe, but I suggest going to Europe, feeling out the vibes, and then coming here and then doing that. Because yes, you can manipulate the feeling and the vibes, but also like you're going to understand it so much more if you go out and then you come back and you try and recreate those feelings or emotions that you might have saw on a random Thursday in the street. I remember, I think it was a Thursday or Friday night, and I was in Milan, Italy. Milan was not my favorite place, I'm not gonna lie, but I remember it being like a Thursday night, and I was wondering where all the young people were this entire week that I was there. And I think it was literally a Thursday night. I walked out of the apartment, and the streets were just covered with people drinking, partying, having fun, you know, pizza. It was just such a fun experience to see, like, people actually out and about, because I feel like in America it's just dirty. And, like, don't get me wrong, over there was dirty. Like, Milan was low-key kind of filthy, in the most respectful, artsy, historic way. But just seeing all of these people, the way they were dressed, like, here you go out and girls are in, like, jeans and a black tank top, and guys are in, like, basketball shorts and maybe a polo. But over there, like, they were just, like, in sick outfits, enjoying their time, singing and dancing in the streets with no care. And it was honestly just one of my favorite, like, moments that I've captured, and recreating that and bringing that to life would be amazing. And yeah, so I just think traveling and experiencing things is a great way to bring your photos to life. And that also ties into, like, cultural festivals and traditions, and, like, finding inspiration in cultural clothing, dancing, and celebrations. Like, obviously you have your own celebrations and your own, you know, things that you do within your culture, but, like, putting yourself in somebody else's culture and, like, seeing how they live and seeing how they vibe and they do things, and, like, it's just amazing. And America's, like, so great for that, because you have so many different people here, and the diversity is just amazing. So drawing inspiration from maybe an event that you go to, or maybe if you have somebody or a friend that's part of a different culture, maybe just actually diving into their culture and embracing their culture, and then capturing photos of them in their element maybe. And that's just another way to draw inspiration. And I just think it's so cool and interesting to understand other people's lives and get a little bit of information and knowledge and creativity from somebody else. So speaking of creativity and emotions and cultural stuff, let's say you have a crazy ass dream. I feel like dreams, honestly, like, especially the ones that feel like fever dreams, I'm, like, constantly pulling inspiration from those as well. Like, wait, I'm just gonna share it. The other day, I literally had a dream of, like, me in a pirate ship. Literally, don't come at me. You can't control what you're dreaming about, okay? You can't. So, literally, don't come at me. But I was dreaming about me being on this pirate ship and yada yada. For the longest time, I wanted to do, like, a Pirates of the Caribbean, like, photo shoot. I still do. If you're watching this and you want to be Jack Sparrow, like, literally send me a text message. Or if you want to be, like, you know, a couple and do it together, like, that's just amazing. Please hit me up. I will love you forever, actually. And I have a pirate ship that I could use, potentially. I just have to message them. So that's all I'm saying. But anyway, stealing from your dreams, that is, like, the craziest your brain, like, comes up with. And taking it and, like, putting it into an inspiration board, or just capturing the emotions that you felt during it, can really just, like, spark shoots or creativity in a certain way. And I don't know, it's just really all about emotions and feelings and the crazy things that happen that you might think of. So to kind of wrap this up too, I feel like I was going really fast, I'm sorry, but another way to, like, draw amazing inspiration is collaborating with other creators. So yes, you can collaborate with photographers, filmmakers, but, like, I found the most creative I felt when I was dealing with, like, fashion designers and makeup artists and just, like, all different forms of art that kind of cohesively go together. So whether you're talking to a musician, you're talking to a designer, and really just getting a feel for, like, the way they're looking at things, and like maybe just even like looking at a designer's sketches can also help with like creativity and mindset. And I just think staying outside of Pinterest boards, Instagram, and just like quote unquote stealing people's concepts, like, yes, I love that. I love Pinterest, but it got to a point where like I spent so much time on Pinterest that I literally would see the same images over and over and over again. And I was like, this is a problem. I need to find out other ways to do this. And as you can see with traveling and going around, I find different ways to bring everything to life. So I recommend talking to other people, getting a feel for everything, and maybe drawing inspo together. 2 brains are better than 1, and 6 brains are better than nothing. Okay, so like I mentioned, I collect a whole bunch of stuff, clearly. And I find out the best way for me personally to find inspiration is going shopping. But I'm not talking about like clothes shopping. I'm not talking about like, oh, I'm going to Tilly's or whatever. I'm talking about like I go and I seek out the most rugged vintage stores or like dirt cheap places to find stuff, and I'll just literally dig through piles of stuff for like 2 hours. I genuinely love going to vintage stores. If you need to know any vintage store, I've been to quite literally almost all of them in Florida, and I always go, even if you want to go with me and tag along. Perfect fun. I love that. Just know that we will be there for a minute. But vintage stores are honestly like my love for finding and drawing inspiration. I will sit there and I will just go from magazine to magazine to magazine. I personally love the vintage style and setup of everything. So when I'm going to a vintage store, I feel like I'm escaping reality and I'm going into like a realm or a time period within each different room that I walk into. And that really allows my brain to just go everywhere. Like I'll probably walk out with like 20 or like 15, 20 concepts just from being in a vintage store for maybe like an hour or an hour and a half. These are just great ways to like see things or like even collect props for like photo shoots and stuff that you might need. So allowing yourself to wander, to shop without maybe even buying anything. I buy little things, obviously, all around me. And if you've seen my other videos, you've also seen my wall of things that I buy. So allowing yourself to just escape into these different time periods and really just like flip through old Polaroids. I love flipping through old Polaroids, old pictures, and just really just like capturing the feeling that these people were feeling in these time periods and trying to like push myself to understand how they felt. Were they smiling? Were they upset? Were they carrying a luggage? Were they in a broke down car? You know, all these things that like kind of play into everyday life, and just like bringing that back and to light is honestly my favorite thing to do. And that's where I draw most of my concepts from. Personally, the other day, as an example, I was scrolling through social media. Oh my god, that's such a bad reference because I just said don't scroll through social media. But it's different because I wasn't looking for concepts. I was just scrolling through social media. But I was scrolling through social media and I seen like a whole bunch of things about national parks. I love hiking. I like going to national parks. Hiking is also another way to find inspiration and just let your mind chill and wander. That was a little side note, but going in and just like, oh my god, no, not me losing track of what I was saying. Oh, so I was sorry. This is a mess, and the ADHD is just crazy sometimes. But I was scrolling through social media, and I was looking at national parks, and, you know, people were complaining, oh, this is happening, and whatever. And then I remembered, like, it made me remember that I had an idea or a concept, and I'm not saying I'm gatekeeping it. I'm not saying I'm gatekeeping it, but it reminded me of a feeling that I felt, and I wanted to bring that to life. So I went and I searched for a model that I felt like could display my emotions for this topic the best. And I kind of give her background information. Hey, this is how I feel. You guys will literally see it this weekend. Or you'll see it before this episode comes out. So you can't even be mad that I'm talking about it. So I text her. I said, this is how I feel. This is how the situation is making me feel. This is how I want to recreate it. And that is exactly what we're going to do. And I'm super excited to do that shoot. So, yes, just allowing your feeling, your emotion, your experiences, other people's experiences, and just bringing it to light. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And that's exactly what you should do, because that's how you create the most valuable and meaningful art, in my opinion. So, now that you know how to find, like, concepts and draw ideas from different things through emotions, music, art, what else did I say? Nature. Just now that you know how to create the concept, you might be like, okay, great, that's like wonderful, but how am I going to actually bring that concept to life? How am I supposed to recreate this picture from a vintage Polaroid or a magazine or a book or a poem or the words that I wrote down listening to a song? How do I do that? And I feel like a lot of people struggle, like, actually making this vision come to life. So I want to express how I do it and ways that you can do it on a budget, because we're all broke. Actually, maybe you're not. If you're listening to this podcast, actually, I don't even know, but at least I'm broke, and that's all I'm going to say in this economy. So yeah, I'm going to tell you how to do it on a budget and how to create everything. And now that you have an understanding for where to draw concepts from outside of social media and kind of just let your brain wander and bring something to life, you're probably like, okay, that's great that I have this idea on this concept, but how am I actually going to bring this photography set to life? How am I going to act like we're in Europe? How am I supposed to capture an emotion that I felt? How am I supposed to, just ultimately create this image that makes you feel the way I felt? So, number one, we need to refine our concept. Once you have an idea, just take the time to refine it and just think, like, what story am I trying to tell? What emotions do I want the viewer to feel? And what colors, props, and lighting will be best to communicate this idea? So, understanding all of these questions when you create a photo shoot is crucial to actually bringing it to life. If you don't know what exact emotion you want to bring to life, if you don't know what exact story you're trying to tell, the image is already going to be blurry, whether you have the proper stuff or you don't have the proper stuff. If your view and your vision isn't clear on your concept, it's going to be a lot harder to find objects to bring it to life. So, honestly, like, creating a mood board or going on Pinterest to find these, or maybe just, like, looking at images or magazines that you found that you got this idea from, and just, like, ripping out whatever you have and, like, making a mood board on paper and just, like, seeing the vision and the story that you want come to life rather than just on your phone. So that's honestly, like, sometimes what I do is just making, like, a huge collage board of, like, all of the pictures, the images, or the magazine pages that I liked, and just seeing it in a visual perspective. This way I can tell whoever I'm working with how, like, the feeling and the mood for it. So it doesn't always have to be on Pinterest. It doesn't always have to be on Pinterest. It doesn't always have to be a carousel post on Instagram that you send to people. It can literally be a piece of paper, maybe words, maybe like words mixed with the pictures that you've ripped out of stuff, or like items that you've collected, and just sending it to them. So once you have your concept and you've refined it and you understand it, choosing the right location. So for me, I don't really like studios. Don't come for me. I just feel like there's so much more emotion outside of studios. Like, and I like studios that have character. Don't get me wrong. I love a good studio that has character. But, like, if a studio is just, like, a blank, flat wall, it honestly hurts my feelings. Because I just feel like there is just no creativity. And, like, unless she's in, like, a sick-ass fucking outfit, like, if my designer killed that shit, we will have a plain white wall if we need to. But also, like, the emotions that the outfit is giving, you can very much put that outside and find a location that is giving the same, like, fit or vibe. And she's still the main character because she's in front, but you have, like, I don't know, maybe, like, a rugged building in the background, or, oh my god, there's this idea and this concept. I'm not gatekeeping. It took me really long to find it, and that's why I'm not going to say it until it's posted, because I need to fly back to New York for this. But having your model and your emotion, finding out what location is best for you is crucial to allowing that like vibe to come through your photos. I need to find a better word for vibe. I used the word vibe last time, but I'm sorry, I'm like not a professional or anything. So basically, studio versus outdoor. Is it going to be in a controlled studio setting, or is it going to have natural light, or is it going to have environmental elements or lighting in it? Or maybe it's like urban versus nature, so you have like a city landscape or modern / editorial vibes, or maybe like a natural for a softer, more like organic feel to your images. Or it could just be a unique location, like abandoned buildings, a cafe. Maybe it is just a single black wall, but you have like crazy lighting in there or props. Like figure out your location and how it's gonna go. So once you've refined your concept, chose the right location, styling and wardrobe. This is so important. This is so important. This is so important. Sorry, I just literally gave myself the ick. This is so important though. You have no idea how important having the right styling and wardrobe is to your pictures. Sorry. I could rant about this because the amount of times I've had like clients come to me and they're like, I want a cinematic, organic feel. And then they show up in like a yellow dress and I'm like, I gave you an entire mood board. You literally sent me an entire mood board and you showed up in bright neon yellow dress. And then the boyfriend's in like shorts, like gym shorts, and a polo that he probably has been wearing for the past 15 years. Sorry, this is getting heated. Styling a wardrobe is very important. Also, ways to like limit your clients showing up in like items that aren't fitting the vibes is just like sending them a mood board, but like you do have to remember that these are their photos and they can have their photos in whatever they want because they're paying you to capture their photos. Blah blah blah, whatever. Whatever. Back onto styling and wardrobe for editorial, cinematic, and bringing your concept to life. What your subject wears should align with your concepts. So considering textures, colors, and silhouettes that complement the mood and the feeling of what you're trying to persuade is perfect. Are you trying to do something sad? Are they wearing darker colors? Are they wearing lighter colors? Is there going to be texture? Is it going to be, ruffly? Is it going to be made out of net? Is it going to be something that you completely create out of, a fabric that you might not see or use or whatever? What are they wearing? If you're on a budget, thrifting is amazing. Thrifting stores are amazing. Amazon is amazing. I'm not going to say how Amazon is amazing, just in case Amazon's watching, but Amazon is amazing, and you can DM me for more information on why I think Amazon is amazing. But Amazon is amazing, and clearance sections are amazing, and fabric stores are amazing as well. I'm not saying you have to completely whip up an entire outfit by yourself, but if you're just doing something with like simple draping, then you can go and buy fabric instead of going out and buying a really expensive dress. So consider what your subject is wearing and how they're going to bring it to life. Are you doing vintage? Are you doing editorial? Are you doing more of like a fashion forward moment? Are you doing Y2K? Like, what is the vibe? Research what people were wearing in that time and then bring it to life. If you could hear my burp, I'm so sorry. Anyways, so now that you have your idea concept defined, you have your location, and you've figured out your wardrobe, you're going to need to figure out what props and what set design you want. So I love a good prop. Props add depth and storytelling to your images, and maybe you're bringing flowers, or maybe you're bringing a mirror, maybe you're bringing a chair, maybe you're bringing fabrics that you could use or you can lay on the floor. All of these things really just like allow your image to come to life. So for like vintage set designs, I love me like a good stereo or radio, or maybe like a good carpet that brings the vibes, or maybe there's like something that I could pick up at a vintage store, like a vintage Coke bottle or a vintage beer bottle, or, you know, anything small or big. Like the other day I got I got a cigar, I got some matches, I got me some Playboy magazines, because we love Playboy. Playboy literally sponsor me. Literally sponsor me. Please let me do a shoot for you. I love you. And okay, that's enough of that. Playboy magazines, and we had some bottles in there and some like cool lamps that were also. So just really allowing the vibes of the shoot and your concept to bring the props to actual life, like, and concept to life is what you need. Again, for this, vintage stores are amazing if you're going to do something along the lines of older or modern. And if you want to go into like more modern stuff, then, you know, IKEA's great. I love IKEA. And again, I love Amazon. You can find anything on Amazon. Yes, I love Amazon. But yeah, backdrops are on Amazon. Maybe you can find a backdrop, or maybe you can even ask around for somebody if you know that they have something that you need, or like a prop. Or if you just hire a set design. There's a lot of cool set designers out there that you can hire, and they can literally make a whole set for you in a design, and you have to do nothing, and you don't have to find anything. Realistically, I cannot pay a set designer, so I will. And not even that I can't pay, but I also love creating my own sets and my own designs and like bringing my story to life. But if you're not like that and you don't have enough time, then there are set designers out there, and I can send you a few if you want. Just, again, DM me. You also have to remember that less is more with props, though. You don't want your props to overpower your subject. So you don't want like a huge bulky prop and then like your subject is behind it, unless you're doing something for that. But again, you don't want like 50,000 magazines on the floor and then your subject gets lost because everybody's looking at the magazines on the floor. So adding subtle hints to your concepts will just bring it to life in a very soft, elegant, and toned way. So now that you have all of that, next is to figure out lighting. Are you going to have something soft and natural? Are you going to do in golden hour? I personally don't really like golden hour. I'm more of a blue hour person. But, you know, do what you want. Are you doing golden hour? Are you shooting through window light? Is it airy? Is it dreamy? Are you going to do dramatic light? Is there going to be high contrast? Are there going to be hard shadows? Or are you going to use like artificial studio light instead? What lighting is best for your concept? So all of this is going to tie together. If you have a bright outfit, then you're probably going to want to shoot with not the brightest lighting, because the reflection is going to be a lot. But that's a whole other topic of lighting and figuring that out. But considering the lighting and the vibe of it, darker, maybe it's more sad, maybe it's more moody. Brighter, maybe it's more energetic, maybe it's more hype, maybe it's more editorial. Understanding lighting and everything goes into this entire concept. So really just figuring it out again when you're harnessing your concept and defining your concept. This way everything is brought to life the way you envision it. Now a big thing to bring your concept to life is directing your subject. Your model needs clear direction to bring your vision to life. For example, if you were just a random person and I told you, hey, we're doing a photo shoot, and I said, we're going to be doing an editorial photo shoot, it's going to be sick, show up at this time. The model comes, right? Or you come, and I then say nothing to you. I'm like, okay, we're going to start shooting. Where's the help? How do I know what to do? So directing your subject is crucial to allowing this vibe to come in. So you need to give them mood references, show them how you want to pose, guide them on expressing their body language to match the concepts. Really just, again, going back to sending them mood boards and stuff, when I'm using concepts from movies and films, I will literally show them the clip. Then on the day that they come, I will re-show them the clip, and then I will literally stare them in the eye. I'm sorry if you're a victim of this, but I will stare you in the eye, and I'd be like, you are the main character. You are blah, blah, blah. For example, you are Aquamarine. I need you to serve. I need you to give me mermaid. I need you to give me I need love. I need you to give me dad is mad at me, but I need to find love. I need all of that. I need all of the emotions given. And then once they're in that mindset, you're solid. Keep reminding them though during the shoot. It's hard to like embrace a character that's obviously not you And not every model is an actress. You have to remember that too. Not every model is an actress. So teaching them how to express emotions, I feel like I dealt with a lot of this in New York. A lot of my girls were doing studio shoots after studio shoot after studio shoot, and they're serving. They're giving serve, and we love that. We love that they're serving. But when I was doing a cinematic concept with them, I was getting very harsh faces, harsh poses, and that's not what I needed. I need something very airy. I need something very light for these concepts. And so giving them and reminding them of what the concept is, what it needs to be, allows for the concept to actually come to life. So just remember that. Remember that you need to direct them. You need to give them the mood reference. Show them how to pose. Again, have your inspo, have your mood boards, have your pictures day of, and just bring that to life. Another thing is, if they're nervous, that's completely fine. It's completely okay. Make sure to like create a relaxed environment. I love using music, and honestly, I'm a yapper. So when you're with me, there's music playing. I'm probably going to be dancing. You're probably going to end up dancing because why not? We can vibe together. We always vibe together. But creating that element of like music, conversation with them, and it's not just like, okay, stare in front of the camera and I'm going to be all up in your face. So again, allow for that relaxed environment. Allow their nerves to kind of settle down. Maybe give like 30 minutes warm up and then just kind of like ease into the harder poses. I always do basic poses first, and then I'll get into my harder poses, or my concepts that I really know I want, because at the beginning of the photo shoot, all the photos, I feel like at every beginning of a photo shoot, you probably feel this way too, the photos are not as good as the last like 30 minutes, because at the last 30 minutes, you're comfortable, you're confident, and the communication has been perfect. So save the ideas and concepts that you really want for the end of the photo shoot. Just a little tip there. But yeah, again, once you actually have your photos, then you're going to do, all your post-production and editing. Editing is where your vision fully comes together. So consider like the color grading that enhances the mood, retouching to clean up distractions, again, grain, texture, or filters for a unique feel. I love Lightroom. That's where I edit, and yeah, then I go, you'll share your images, you'll get feedback, and then go from there. So for like closing thoughts, bringing a concept to life takes planning, but when it all comes together, it's incredibly rewarding and worth it. Starting small and experimenting, and don't be afraid to push creative boundaries. But I'd love to hear your latest shoot, your latest ideas, and if you've drawn from any of the ways that I told you how to get concepts, I'd love to see them. Please tag me or DM me and just say like, I have this concept or whatever, I found it this way. I'd love to hear your feedback and, ultimately work together on everything. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got an understanding of how I find my concepts and then how I bring it to life. And yeah, so I will talk to you guys next week, and I'll see you then. Bye.